Hello and welcome back to Kendo Nagasaki 101, the channel where you can find out all about the mystical and spiritual work of Kendo Nagasaki, the masked wrestler and mystic. My name is Atlantis and I'm the current spokesperson for Kendo. Okay, we're picking up from the video in which Yogensha's judo career has come to an unexpected and abrupt end, but where a new path had begun to suggest itself. Having heard about catch wrestling and how specialised a skill set it was, Yogensha was hungry to know more. He came to understand that there was a parallel to judo, which was that catch wrestling involved learning highly specialised techniques for triumphing over another fighter, and that, over and above strength alone, knowledge of and fluency with these techniques was the route to victory. It wasn't long before Yogensha was convinced this would be the road for him. More than this, Yogensha had by now evolved and developed under Abe's philosophy of seeking to improve on even established traditional practices and techniques, and as he attended and studied professional wrestling matches, there were stirrings in the back of his mind about how he would deal with a particular situation. Yogensha's new challenge was where to get the best possible training in catch wrestling, and there was really only one answer: training under Billy Riley at his legendary gym in Wigan. In fact, in the right circles there were horror stories of what training there was like. Men who'd been reputed to be incredibly tough would speak in hushed yet shocked tones of how nothing they knew or could do could save them from the most almighty pummelings. Even so, having survived just one day at Riley's gym was a badge of honour, and so a constant stream of either overconfident or foolhardy young men rashly decided that they could prevail, only to learn the stern lesson that there were indeed greater things in the world than them, much greater things. And so, after many pursed lips and raised eyebrows amongst those he knew, Yogensha decided to try out at Riley's gym. Abe's reaction to this decision had been strangely muted, and Yogensha didn't know what to make of it. Perhaps it was distaste at the thought of his former protégé ending up involved with a combat sport which Abe regarded as inferior. But Yogensha was to learn that all the judo skills in the world would not help you defeat a skilled catch wrestler. It was hell. Yogensha spent a day with his face being ground into a mat of canvas and sand, having his limbs twisted into agonising and impossible positions, and being plucked off his feet from nowhere and effortlessly rolled into submission holds. He was fascinated. He was in total agony, but he was totally fascinated. In fact, poor Yogensha had been given the welcome pack. Someone had tipped off the gym that they were going to be visited by a championship-winning Olympic standard judoka, so the wrestlers he'd been paired with to train gave him their most special attention, lavishing their most painful, most unpleasant, most inescapable holds and moves on Yogensha. They did everything possible to show him that catch wrestling was a much more severe combat skill than judo, which it is. But because they didn't yet know this young man, they didn't realise how badly this plan would backfire. Yogensha completely respected the excellence of catch wrestling, and he decided that he would master it, and all of its other practitioners too. They certainly thought twice when Yogensha showed up at Riley's gym the following week, and just as with his rapid adaptation to judo, Yogensha was soon defeating the wily old hands at their own game. Yogensha's relationship with Abe had of course changed, as he was no longer a student of judo, but he still saw Abe as often as he could, and he continued to absorb all he could about Kyushindo as a philosophy. In fact, Yogensha never lost touch with any of what he had learned from Abe. He still meditated, and he still deferred to Bushido, so even away from judo, his principles of living an excellent life only ever evolved and grew stronger. In fact, even as he trained as a wrestler, Yogensha would still practice katsu on any injured co-combatants, unwittingly creating a new reputation for esoteric weirdness amongst a whole new crowd. By mid-1964, a new spiritual current had made itself apparent to Yogensha. He could tell that it was an evolution of the energy he'd felt as he healed, but it had gained a new, additional quality which seemed to be striving to communicate with him. When he mentioned this to Abe, he was told, just as in his early days, to meditate upon the energy, and it would explain itself to him intuitively. Yogensha found himself rewarded with a personification of an energy he'd glimpsed previously, but it was as if additional dimensions were struggling to reveal themselves as well. Yogensha was no stranger to visions from his past lives, but up to this point, they had had the rational quality of being like memories, unchanging. This new energy had the confusing and somewhat alarming property of being present both in his past life visions as well as speaking to Yogensha in the present. How was it possible that this presence could operate outside time? And how was he connected to Yogensha? It was at this point that Yogensha found that he needed all the spiritual training, all the insights and all the confidence in his own intuition which Abe had sought to develop in him over the 5 years of their spiritual association. He was about to make a quantum leap on both spiritual and physical planes. Well, once again, I'm afraid my time is up for this video, so please do come back to hear some more about the great Kendo Nagasaki. Thank you for watching. I'm Atlantis, and I hope to see you all again very soon. So, as Kendo would say, onwards. Bye-bye.